I opened my home to the one person I trusted most, my best friend. But while I worked double shifts to build a future, he destroyed it in secret, with the woman I planned to marry. I've always been the dependable one, the guy who showed up early, stayed late, and made sacrifices so everyone around me could be comfortable. That's how I was raised. If you love someone, you prove it through action. So when my best friend, Tyler, called me late one night, voice shaking and words slurred, asking if he could crash at my place for a few weeks, I didn't hesitate. Tyler and I had been tight since high school, like brothers. We'd seen each other through some dark times, but this time felt different. He'd just gone through a brutal breakup, lost his apartment, and was barely holding on to his job. I didn't think twice. I told him, pack what you need and get here, man. You're always welcome. My fiancée, Layla, wasn't thrilled about it. She said something didn't feel right, that we were planning our wedding and saving up for a house, and adding Tyler to the mix would throw everything off. But I brushed it off as stress. He won't be here long, I told her, just until he finds his footing. If only I had listened. The first week was fine. Tyler kept to himself mostly. He slept on the couch, kept his mess to a minimum, and even cooked a few meals. Layla tried to be polite, but I could sense a weird energy between them, like a tension that neither of them wanted to admit. At first, I chalked it up to awkwardness. I mean, we were all adjusting, right? Then I started picking up extra shifts. Layla and I had been talking about putting a down payment on a place after the wedding. I wanted to give her the kind of life she deserved, so I started grabbing overtime at the warehouse, double shifts. Weekends, anything I could get. I'd come home dead tired, sometimes not even bothering to eat dinner. I'd find Tyler and Layla in the living room, watching Netflix, laughing at some inside joke I didn't get. I tried not to overthink it. I told myself, they're just getting along. That's good, right? But the seed of doubt had been planted. One night, I came home earlier than usual. My shift had been canceled last minute. I walked through the front door quietly, expecting to surprise Layla with takeout. What I found instead was the two of them huddled close on the couch, whispering. The way they jumped apart when they saw me to guilty made my stomach churn. Hey, babe, Layla said, like nothing was wrong. Didn't expect you this early. Tyler added, yeah, man, you scared the hell out of us. I smiled weakly and handed over the food, trying to act normal. But everything from that point on felt off. I started noticing little things after that. Layla began locking her phone more often. Tyler's laundry somehow ended up in our bedroom hamper. Once, I found one of his socks under our bed. I asked Layla about it, and she laughed it off, saying he probably dropped it while helping her with cleaning. But Tyler didn't clean. My gut told me something was wrong, but I couldn't face it. I didn't want to believe that the two people I trusted most were hiding something from me. One Saturday, I came home after a brutal 16-hour shift. The apartment was dark. Layla had texted earlier saying she was going to visit her sister. Tyler claimed he had gone out for drinks with coworkers, but as I stepped inside, I heard something, a soft thud from the bedroom. I froze. Slowly, I walked to the hallway. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob, but then I stopped myself. Don't go in there, a voice inside warned. You don't want to know. I turned around, left the apartment, and drove aimlessly for hours. Things only got worse. Layla started pulling away. She was distant, distracted, always tired. Our conversations were short, our intimacy almost non-existent. Tyler, on the other hand, seemed more confident, like someone who had a secret weapon. He started teasing me more, even subtly mocking the hours I worked. One night, over dinner, I mentioned that we should start talking to realtors again. Layla looked panicked. Tyler smirked. You sure you're ready for all that? He asked, sipping his beer. Seems like you've barely been around. I looked at him, confused. I'm working my ass off for this future. Tyler shrugged. Maybe you should focus on the present first. The silence that followed was unbearable. Layla didn't say a word. 2 weeks later, it happened. Layla sat me down with tears in her eyes. She said she needed to talk. I thought she was going to tell me she wanted to postpone the wedding or worse, call it off. But nothing could have prepared me for the bomb she dropped. I'm pregnant, she whispered. At first, I felt shock, then overwhelming joy. I smiled, reached for her hands, and said, That's incredible, Layla. We're gonna be parents. But she pulled her hands away. And then came the second bomb. It's not yours. The world stopped spinning. My vision blurred. I couldn't feel my legs. What? I croaked, my voice hollow. She couldn't even look at me. I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen. It was a mistake. I knew the answer before I asked the question, but I asked anyway. Is it Tyler's? Her silence was deafening. I don't remember much after that. I just remember stumbling out of the apartment, heart pounding like a war drum, mind spinning. The betrayal hit like a tidal wave. My best friend, my fiancé, the two people I would have taken a bullet for, and they stabbed me in the back. I ended up at a motel, curled up on the lumpy bed, crying into a pillow like a broken child. The pain wasn't just emotional, it was physical. Like someone had ripped open my chest and torn out everything I believed. And I didn't go to work for 3 days. I ignored calls. I just stared at the ceiling, wondering how I missed all the signs. How I let this happen under my own roof. How I was the full dot by the 4th day. Rage took over. I drove back to the apartment. My name was still on the lease, and I wanted answers. When I walked in, they were both there, Tyler with a smug expression, Layla looking like a ghost. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I just asked, why? Tyler shrugged. It just happened. Layla whispered, I'm so sorry, but sorry doesn't fix betrayal. Sorry doesn't undo the knife they drove into my spine. I told them both to get out. That moment watching them gather their things, while I stood in the doorway, was the closest thing to closure I thought I'd get. But I was wrong, because that wasn't the end of the story. Not even close. Kicking them out should have brought peace. It didn't. The silence in that apartment after Tyler and Layla left was deafening. It echoed off the walls and into my chest. A constant reminder of the betrayal that had taken place within those very rooms. I would lie on the same couch Tyler had slept on for weeks, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of the timeline. When did it start? The night I found his sock under our bed. Was it earlier? Did Layla ever truly love me? Or was I just a placeholder while she figured herself out? I replayed every conversation, every touch, every glance. Everything was now poisoned with suspicion. And worst of all, the child was coming. A child that could have been mine. A child conceived in lies and secrecy. I thought the worst was over, but it was just the beginning. A week later, I got a message from Layla, just a single sentence. Can we talk? My fingers hovered over the screen. Part of me wanted to block her, erase her existence from my life completely. But curiosity, no. Pain got the better of me. I told her to meet me at the park near our old apartment. Neutral ground. She looked tired, worn down, pregnant. Seeing the baby bump made something twist in my gut. I should have been excited. Instead, I was nauseous. She spoke first. I'm not with Tyler. I blinked. What? I haven't spoken to him in days, she said, her voice trembling. He left. He blocked me. He said he wasn't ready to be a dad. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My rage came back in full force, but this time it was directed at Tyler. That coward. He seduced my fiancée, got her pregnant, and then ghosted her the moment responsibility showed up. He used both of us, Layla whispered. He made me feel seen. And you were never around. You were always working, always tired. He was. There, he took advantage of that. I couldn't decide if she was trying to make me understand or shift the blame. Either way, it didn't work. But something in her eyes, something honest, it cracked through the wall I'd built. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I asked. She shrugged. Because I didn't want to lose both of you. You lost me the second you let him in. She cried. I didn't. I was all out of tears. That night, I made a decision. I wouldn't forgive her. I wouldn't go back. But I would be there for the baby, if only to make sure it didn't suffer for the sins of its parents. I thought that would be the mature thing to do. I had no idea the kind of storm I was walking into. 2 months passed. Layla moved in with her sister. We texted occasionally about doctor's appointments, baby names, health updates. I remained attached, refusing to let myself get emotionally involved. But part of me couldn't help it. I had spent years dreaming of being a father. And even if this child wasn't mine, it was still part of someone I once loved. I couldn't completely sever the connection. Meanwhile, Tyler disappeared, gone. No calls, no social media updates. Mutual friends hadn't heard from him. It was like he vanished off the face of the earth, until one day, he didn't. I was leaving work late, around 11 p.m., walking through the empty parking lot toward my car. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered, and instantly froze at the voice on the other end. Hey man. It was Tyler. Before I could respond, he continued. I know I don't have a right to ask for anything, but I need to see you. It's important, please. I should have hung up, but I didn't. We met at a gas station just outside town. He looked rough then, hollow-eyed, like someone who'd been sleeping in his car for weeks. His hoodie was stained, his shoes torn. He smelled like cigarettes and shame. What the hell do you want? I asked, Barely able to contain my disgust, he looked at me, guilt written all over his face. I messed up. No kidding. I didn't love her, he blurted out. It wasn't about love. It was, I don't know. I was in a dark place. I felt invisible, and she looked at me like I mattered. I laughed bitterly. You mattered to me. You were my best friend. My brother. And you pissed all over that for what? A one-eyed ego boost. He looked down. It wasn't supposed to go that far. I didn't think she'd get pregnant. You didn't think at all. Silence stretched between us. Then he said something that shattered everything I thought I knew. I don't think the baby's mine. What? He looked me dead in the eyes. I got a vasectomy 2 years ago, after Amy left. I never told anyone. But if she's really pregnant, it's not mine. It can't be. The ground shifted beneath my feet. My world tilted on its axis. If Tyler was telling the truth, then whose baby was it? Could Layla have been lying to both of us? I left him standing there and drove straight to Layla's sister's house. She was shocked to see me, especially that late. I told her everything. About Tyler, about the vasectomy, about the doubt now clawing at my brain like a feral animal. She didn't deny it. Instead, she broke down. It was just one night, she whispered through sobs. A guy from work, after a fight with you. And Tyler was being distant. I felt alone. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. You mean to tell me, I said, every word shaking with rage, that you slept with 3 different men in less than 3 months, and lied to all of us? She nodded slowly. I didn't know what to do. You were the only one who responded with kindness. You offered support. You stepped up. No. I was lied to. Manipulated. You still can be a part of the baby's life, she said, almost pleading. I don't even know if it's mine. And now I wasn't sure I wanted to know. I spiraled. After that, I started drinking. I called out of work. I stared at the walls, reliving the last few months like a punishment loop I couldn't escape. My trust had been obliterated. My love exploited. My generosity twisted into weakness. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was humiliation. Then came the final blow. A letter in the mail from a law firm. Layla was naming me on the birth certificate. If I didn't contest it, I would be legally responsible. I stared at the paper for what felt like ours. My name, her name, and a box that hadn't been checked yet. Acknowledgement of paternity. She was trying to force me to be the father. To clean up a mess I didn't create. I needed answers. Real ones. So I demanded a paternity test. She refused. At first, said I was abandoning her. That I used to be better than this. But I held my ground. I wasn't going to be manipulated anymore. A week later, the test was done. Another week passed before the results arrived. I wasn't the father. I stared at the paper. I read it over and over, as if it might change on the 10th reading. But the truth was clear. The baby wasn't mine. Tyler was right. It wasn't his either. This child, this symbol of pain and betrayal, was the product of a man I didn't even know. I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. Just emptiness. The chapter was over. Or so I thought. People say closure is a myth, that when someone shatters your trust, no amount of apologies or explanations can stitch your heart back together. But I learned something different. Closure isn't about forgiveness. It's about finally being done. After the paternity results came in, I blocked Layla. I ignored her calls, her messages, her desperate attempts to meet. There was nothing left to say. She had tried to trap me into a lifetime of responsibility for a lie she wrapped in a baby blanket and expected me to cuddle. The silence was peaceful, but short-lived. 3 months after cutting her off, I got a call from a mutual friend, Rachel. She was one of Layla's old college roommates, someone I hadn't spoken to since the engagement party. Hey, I know this is weird, she said carefully, but I think you should know something. I braced myself. She's telling people, the baby is yours. That you left her during the pregnancy and you're refusing to take responsibility. She's making you out to be some kind of deadbeat. My blood boiled. I had proof that I wasn't the father. I had stayed through the betrayal. I had offered support. I had been the one who got used. And now I was the villain in her fairy tale tragedy. That night, I sat with everything. The betrayal, the manipulation, the lies being spread behind my back. I opened the folder with the DNA results, snapped a photo of the page, and uploaded it to a private folder online. Just in case. Because the truth has a habit of surfacing if you're brave enough to hold onto it. 2 more months passed. Then something unexpected happened. Tyler showed up at my job. He looked better, cleaner, like someone trying to piece his life back together. I hadn't seen him since that night outside the gas station. My chest tightened with a cocktail of resentment, and curiosity. What do you want? I asked, barely looking up from my clipboard. To apologize, he said, sincere for once. I didn't respond. I've started going to therapy, he added, trying to figure out why I blow up everything good in my life. Why I betrayed the only real friend I ever had. I finally looked him in the eyes, and I saw the shame, not just regret, deep, soul-sick shame. I know I can't fix it, he continued, but if there's anything I can do, say I just want to do right by you. Part of me wanted to swing, to make him feel every ounce of pain I carried, but a bigger part, that part just wanted to let it go. I don't hate you, I said, surprising even myself, but I don't want you in my life. Not now. Maybe not ever. He nodded slowly. That's fair. Then he reached into his pocket and handed me a folded piece of paper. A letter from Layla. I didn't read it right away. For the days it sat on my desk like a ticking bomb. But curiosity won out, as it always does. Inside was a 4-page letter. No excuses, just raw, messy honesty. She admitted everything, how lonely she felt, how Tyler's attention made her feel validated, how her one-night stand was a reckless cry for help. She admitted that pinning the baby on me was a desperate move to hold on to someone she had already destroyed. And at the end, she said something that stuck with me. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know. I named her after you. Her middle name, because no matter how badly I ruined it, no one ever showed me love like you did. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just folded the letter and burned it in the sink. Some ghosts don't deserve altars. Life moved on. I changed jobs, moved to a different part of the city, got a smaller apartment, something that felt like mine again. I started going out more, seeing friends, laughing without guilt. One day, I ran into Rachel again, the friend who warned me. We ended up grabbing coffee just as friends, but coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a weekend hike. A few months later, I found myself holding her, hand across a movie theater armrest, wondering when I had last felt so at peace. Rachel was gentle, steady, honest. She didn't ask me to forget. She just helped me live again. And maybe that's what healing really is, not erasing the scars, but learning how to live with them without flinching. Then came the twist I didn't expect. 1 year after the chaos, I got a call from a blocked number. I ignored it. It called again, then again. Finally, I picked up. It was Layla's sister. She sounded frantic. It's about the baby, she said. Layla, she's sick. She's been in and out of the hospital. They think it might be serious. I felt the old ache stir. But she wasn't calling for Layla. She's naming you in her will. She says you're the only person she trusts with her daughter if anything happens. What? She wants you to be the guardian. She says you're the only person who ever showed real love. I didn't speak for a long time. Then I asked the only question that mattered. Where's her real father? Long gone. He doesn't even know. And Tyler? He signed away any rights. I hung up. I walked into the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at myself in the mirror. What was I supposed to do? Taking a child born of betrayal? Raise a daughter who reminded me of the worst time in my life? Or finally break the cycle? I met the little girl 2 days later. Her name was Maya. She had Layla's eyes, but her smile, it felt like something new. Something untouched by all the mess that created her. She reached for me without hesitation, like she knew. I didn't have answers, but I knew what I felt. And it wasn't anger. It was a quiet, aching love. 2 years later, Maya calls me dad. Not because I had to be, because I chose to be. Layla passed 6 months after naming me guardian. Cancer. Aggressive. She went quickly. I didn't go to the funeral, but I kept her final letter to Maya, the one she asked me to give her on her 18th birthday. Tyler moved across the country. We haven't spoken since. I heard through the grapevine he's clean, working with youth outreach. Maybe he's trying to be better too. Rachel and I are still together. She never tried to replace anyone. She just became something solid, unshakable. Maya is the best thing I never expected. Sometimes people ask why I did it, why I didn't walk away, why I chose to raise a child born of lies. And the answer is this: because she's innocent, because even in the middle of betrayal, a miracle can be born, because I refuse to let pain define me. Because love, real love, isn't always about how you start. Sometimes it's about how you choose to end.